Da, 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 da. Ooh. Oh no.
Having a few different game and story. Man, this art sucks. Who drew this stuff anyway? While Silent Hill 2 was releasing, Team Silent was creatively locked in. SH3's development swiftly began, but soon ended up rocky. Having a few different game and story concepts begin and end back to back. A lot of time and money went into these discarded ideas, eventually leaving the team with not a whole lot of time to actually produce something. Although Silent Hill 2 was a commercial success, that success came at a cost. Lesser sales than the first game, coupled with an overall larger budget, meant more Silent Hill games would have to be developed. So, alongside SH3, another spin-off title was in the works. This budgetary decision effectively cut SH3's team down to accommodate another title's development. Key creators from Team Silent like Akira Yamaoka, Masahiro Ito, and Hiroyuki Iwaku would return for 3's development, but notable story crafters and designers like Takayoshi Sato would end up leaving Konami. SH2 director Masashi Tsuboyama would move over to the other SH game in development. According to Sato, years later, he himself had pitched his very own take on SH3, but obviously never got to make it. For SH3, the use of CGI cinematics was a no-go, instead striving to present the game's story and cutscenes fully in-engine, a possible result from Sato stepping away from the team. That said, the influence of Sato works, and the use of motion capture specifically would thankfully remain. According to Ito, the one discarded game concept that took up most of SH3's dev time was apparently a rail shooter. Quite the bold direction to take a contemplative horror franchise, but what do I know? It's also worth mentioning that a Silent Hill arcade rail shooter would eventually release many years later, so maybe Konami just really loved that idea for the series. The final game we ended up with was made in an extremely short amount of time. In just about 9 months, Team Silent would deliver the third mainline Silent Hill game. Under the direction of Kazuhide Nakazawa, a man with tons of experience in game dev, the team would take stock of SH2's critical shortcomings and pivot the series back in the direction that SH1 had started off with. Where SH2 largely abandoned the occult themes for a more introspective horror, SH3 would loudly and violently return to the town's rust and blood-cover cultish fears. Apparently in Japan, SH2 wasn't as well received as its predecessor. SH3 would also continue Game 1's story, but let's not jump ahead just yet. This title would follow series newcomer, Heather, the first playable female character in Silent Hill, and, in my opinion, one of the legendary queens of the horror genre. You'll see. Even though key staffers responsible for contributing some of the most important ideas weren't returning for this game, a bunch of previous Team Silent staffers were. And boy, is their work on SH3 some of the best stuff in gaming overall. Leading SH3's character design team was Yuri Shingu, a man responsible for modeling SH2's characters. Under his lead were Sachiko Sugawara and Minako Asano, who also modeled characters like Maria and Mira the dog. Apparently, the three artists would debate Heather's fashion quite a bit, with the female staff insisting on our main lady here wear a skirt.
ジーンズを履いたりしていたキャラクターなんかを僕なんかは想像してたんですけど、逆にこう
Maestro, vuelve el evento de construcción más grande del país, la gran feria de capacitación de Sodimac, para que siga siendo el gigante de la construcción.
ちょっと足を露出して見せたりするのもいいんじゃないかとか、そういう意見もあったりして。
You see, women like skirts too. One member of Team Silent from this era who is often praised by the more vocal artists is Norihito Hatakeda. Hatakeda was responsible for creating the engine that SH2 and 3 ran on. He'd also fully animate all facial animations for each character in 3 specifically. Masahiro Ito would go on the record saying that if it weren't for Hatakeda, both games wouldn't have any proper shadow casting. There's a lot to praise Hatakeda for, but most impressively would be his work on the chilling animated environments you see all throughout Silent Hill 3. This work can't be understated, as this type of texturing tech wasn't seen before in any video game, making SH3's visual presentation a first for the industry in a lot of different ways. Alongside his usual composing role, Akira Yamaoka would also help produce this game. With his newly found abilities, Yamaoka's greatest contribution to the series, in my opinion, started right here at SH3. That goal being, make the soundtracks of Silent Hill games listenable outside of the games. With the assistance of Mary Elizabeth McGlynn on vocals and one Joe Romersa on basically every other instrument, Yamaoka was able to create a solid soundscape of original music for SH3, while also coming up with an impressive repertoire of vocal tracks. In my previous Silent Hill documentaries, I purposefully left out one of Team Silent's biggest artistic inspirations, the musical act, Portishead. I did this because, yes, while the team was inspired by this band, I feel that SH3 specifically really captured a more audible Portishead vibe in its soundtrack. By the way, if you've never listened to Portishead, it's like Silent Hill music before Silent Hill ever existed. The music of SH3 is some of my personal favorite stuff, and as a kid back in 2005, I remember being amazed opening my newly purchased copy of SH3 and finding the soundtrack inside. As a broke kid, irresponsibly spending my money when there wasn't much to go around, this was insane value. I guess it was a worthwhile purchase, seeing as I have my original copy right here to this day. With all of that said, I think that's enough dev history for this very moment. What do you say we take a bite out of SH3? Wait a minute. Did I leave Robbie at the mall?
Oh boy! I sure do love Happy Burger. Let me see here. Let me get 1 taco, 2 Slim Jims, a bag of gum. Wait, where is everyone? Hello? Is anyone here? Is this place abandoned or something? That blue thing told me I could get food here.
Our story begins on a dark and gloomy night. A terrifying carousel of teacups, a writhing, fleshy creature in the dark, and a lost girl greet us as we fade into view, dazed and confused.
Where am I?
With a knife in hand, we take a closer look around. A familiar, metallically plated and rust-covered landscape clangs out underneath us with each step we take. Judging by the massive sign, and if you're familiar with Harry Mason's previous adventure, you'll find that we're currently in the Lakeside Amusement Park, placing us and our leading lady here back in that old, foggy town. Unlike Silent Hill 2, this game starts off with a bang. Right away, we're jumped by a variety of nightmarish creatures. Not sticking around, we duck out in a nearby storefront. Hiding away in this gift shop, catching our breath, we see one of the park's mascots all over the room. Robbie the Rabbit, an icon in horror fiction and my real-life little pal, remember? The gift shop being this in-between normal place with its shelves fully stocked, while also having a rust-graded floor, establishes that we are, in fact, in the first game's style of Otherworld, Alessa's Otherworld. Psyching ourselves up, we head back outside, dodging all sorts of critter, and making our way up a roller coaster's rusty staircase. There's nowhere to go, and with the growing number of monsters on our tail, we step out onto the ride's tracks. As we venture across the rickety old woodwork, we see massive, impossible structure after massive, impossible structure. The twisted spires floating amongst infinite darkness brings back the lost memories of Harry Mason's horrifying and hellish rescue of his daughter. What was once a cute playground, which undeniably saw a lot of life, is now a warped deathscape. The shrieks of the damned and whatever else can be heard all around us in the pitch darkness. As we carefully balance above the abyss, the coaster's car comes barreling towards the lonely girl. As we fade back into focus, the girl reawakens. According to the back of the game's box, this is Heather Morris. And that was just a dream.
What a nightmare.
Ouch.
Leaving Happy Burger and stepping out into a mall, Heather calls her dad.
Dad, it's me. Yeah. Sorry I didn't call sooner.
God, remember using payphones? Distracted by the call, a mysterious older man appears. Heather, understandably cagey, takes off. The man calls the girl by her name, introducing himself as...
My name is Douglas Carter. I'm a detective.
A detective? Really? Well, nice talking to you.
Heather isn't too impressed and continues walking. Insistent, the old DT tells Heather there's someone else who wants to meet her, and right away, SH3 is cleverly playing with thematic fears younger people, and specifically women, might especially relate to. Smartly, Heather tells the man she isn't going with him, but Douglas here says he's got important info about her birth, and it's like, bro, could you not workshop this a little more before creeping up on this girl? Heather gives him the business before jetting off.
Are you still following me? Do I have to scream?
Sorry. I'll wait here.
Regaining control, we duck into the women's restroom. Finding an interestingly scrawled design on a mirror reveals the game's new save system. Unlike the red squares James would gaze into, Heather has a bit more to say about this ominous red pattern. She thinks she's seen it before as a headache creeps up on her. Hopping out of the bathroom window, we find ourselves in a closed-off alleyway. There's no way out of the mall that doesn't require going back in, potentially running into stranger danger over here. Exploring the back halls of this place, there's not a soul in sight. What seemed like a lively shopping center is now a ghost town. In Heather's inventory, we find a key to the apartment she resides at with her father, and a pendant we saw her wearing in the opening cutscenes. Inside the necklace's casing lies a peculiar red jewel, the item's description being an inner monologue, Heather recounting her father telling her that it's just a lucky charm, but to also never take it off. Huh, interesting. As we make our way back into the main mall's area, we find a series of storefronts locked down. One, still open, invites us in.
hell is this thing?
Looks like Heather's nightmares have bled into reality, much like the horrors of previous Silent Hill adventurers. She wonders if what she's seeing is real, with the only word coming to mind being monster. The body the creature was eating is beyond dead. Heather's first instinct to call the cops, but doubtful anyone would believe her if she told them a monster of all things killed someone. With pistol in hand, Heather heads out. Quickly we run into another type of monster, a smaller, more pathetic creature that looks rather sperm cell shaped. These little guys travel in packs as well. I can't be the only one who's always thought the big monster from earlier looked vaguely genital, right? The flaccid head flopping about, the giant flesh arms hanging low beneath it. It's completely disgusting, but I think the visual metaphor is clear. What isn't clear right now is why something like this would manifest before Heather. It is genuinely creepy how we see these sperm-shaped critters skittering around just after seeing the phallic beast. Ugh. The split-headed dog from the nightmare is also here, calling into question the reality of the nightmare we experienced at the start. Was that a figment of Heather's unconscious mind, or a vision of the future? Well, before we can think about that, Heather demonstrates a level of laziness only a teenager is capable of. We see a key fallen under a wooden pallet. Instead of clearing off the accompanying boxes and crates, Heather heads into the mall, finds a pair of tongs from a bakery, and uses that to grab the key, which isn't even that much of a stretch for her to reach, by the way. Listen, Heather is a queen by no other name. She can't be bothered with straining herself like this. In all seriousness, I think this is genius. Having a teen protagonist overcomplicate something so simple like this. It's shockingly real. It brings to mind the childish and complicated Alessa puzzles from the first game. Anyway, in this storage room, another demonic save glyph is painted on a sign, but this time Heather's conflicted, mentioning reading about this symbol in a book on the occult, but also remembering seeing it on an altar. I wonder what she could mean by that. Getting to explore this very early 2000s mall is a hell of a nostalgia trip. The book and clothing store is being familiar iconography to my own American upbringing. I spent an ungodly amount of time in a variety of different malls like this. The bakery, on the other hand, is a little suspicious. I don't know about you, but growing up in the States, I don't ever recall seeing any bakeries in any malls around this time. Talking to friends who have spent time overseas, apparently this is more of a staple of what you'd see in Japanese malls. Now that I'm looking at it, there aren't many bakeries in American cities that allow you to just tong whatever bread you want. It's always interesting seeing how lovingly depicted American culture is through the lens of a Japanese creator. There always happens to be some sort of sincere mixing of cultures in these early games. This reminds me of all the Japanese happenings you'd see in and around Raccoon City. No, Jill, you have to put your money on that little black tray to pay for your sushi in this sports bar. Silent Hill 1's gameplay was simple but effective. Make the player feel like an ordinary guy surviving in hell. Harry Mason was one hell of a determined hero, and one half bumbling fool, just figuring it all out as he went. SH2's combat saw James Sunderland almost lifelessly shooting, bashing, and stomping his way through weaker enemies, an ominous reflection of his mental state brought to fruition. Heather is anything but ordinary or lifeless. She's a goddamn superhero, displaying mastery over all firearms and melee implements she can get her hands on. She's fast and nimble, maneuvering around enemies with ease. But most shockingly, she has the ability to parry almost every enemy attack. Not all of them, but like 90% of them. SH3's gameplay is the tightest and most fun of the three titles. Heather still controls the same as the two previous protagonists, but the simple act of surviving feels a little more RE3 than it does RE1 or 2. Player attack output and enemy health values are so perfectly balanced on the normal action level. Enemies will go down pretty easily, but it'll require just enough of your ammo to leave you starved for resources after the opening chapters. Should you decide to take on every monster standing before you, like in the previous games, you will find yourself struggling a lot more later on. This balance encourages you to hit that parry button often and keep it moving, effectively making SH3 the most survival horror feeling out of the original trilogy. SH3's more fun and engaging gameplay makes for a more replayable experience over the first two games. You can tell that improving the flow of the minute-to-minute player action and puzzle solving was more of a goal this time around. Well, that goal was achieved. SH3 is extremely replayable with tons of meaningful unlocks you can earn through subsequent playthroughs, but we'll talk about that stuff much, much later. Window shopping aside, we find a survivor.
Hey, wait, what's going on? Where is everybody?
Delicioso sabor a cordero y 3 diferentes texturas. ¡Guau! Dog Chow, selección de proteínas con Extra Life.
Traslada tu cuenta sueldo a Banco Falabella y disfruta 10% de descuento en Totus todos los días. Hazlo hoy y te regalamos hasta 400 soles. Banco Falabella.
Those weird monsters?
They have come to witness the beginning. The rebirth of paradise, despoiled by mankind. Don't you know? Your power is needed. I am Claudia.
So what?
Remember me, and your true self as well. Also, that which you must become. The one who will lead us to paradise with blood-stained hands.
A headache in a Silent Hill game? You know what that means. A few interesting things to point out. Firstly, I've always loved how savage Heather is, saying, "So what?" after this disheveled woman introduces herself. It's the most out-of-it teenage thing she does in this game. Second, the wording, "remember me and your true self as well. Also that which you must become." I want you to hold on to this specifically, okay? Claudia mentions Heather having a needed power. With all of the creatures, demonic symbols, and that premonition bleeding into Heather's reality, it's almost as if she's forgotten a past life that this witchy-looking woman is privy to. It goes without saying, but Claudia here has a specific type of energy. She reminds me a lot of someone we've already met in this story, that being Dahlia from the first game. Whether or not gyromancy was used in the summoning of these demons is yet to be determined, however. As Heather recovers, the shrieks of the damned grow louder as we take an elevator down. As the deafening chants quiet, a familiar item falls from the ceiling. Like a sign of God, this old familiar friend guides us into the next nightmare.
Is this a dream? Not even a kid could believe in this. When am I going to let go?
Fucking legendary. Heather taking an elevator down to hell resurfaces in the other world. That cute late 90s mall is now a twisted hellscape, adorned with all sorts of psychotically placed architecture, like we saw in Alessa's Nightmare. Escalators that lead to nowhere, and the mall's floors now disembodied platforms floating in abyssal space. The hopeless isolation from the first game has been cranked up to 11 here, thanks to superb audio and visual presentation. But we never really feel as scared as the first two games, because Heather is just so fucking cool. Reading the various inner monologues when clicking on things in the world presents you with some of the most overly confident but sincere writing you'd only ever hear an angsty teen say. Why would something like this be here? This isn't a hospital. What is this? Barbecued dog? Who the hell would make something like this? Furthermore, who the hell would eat it? Rows of wine bottles. I don't really feel like eating or drinking stuff from an alternate reality, okay? One thing Silent Hill consistently got right was its characters' inner thoughts. They've always been consistent with who you're controlling. Harry's determination, James's compelling confusion, and Heather's growing, almost misplaced confidence sells these characters as fleshed out beyond many horror-themed characters of this era. Amongst the various distorted shops, one that seems relatively untouched by the dark madness summoned to this place is a restaurant. Ignore the completely cooked dog on the table for a second. What always freaked me out about this normal-looking room was its windows showing a very normal-looking cityscape just outside. It's like we're inside the stomach of a dark beast that just swallowed us up, peering through the thinnest layer of its stomach, calling out for help, but not seeing any signs of life. It might also occur to you at this very moment that we aren't actually in the town of Silent Hill. We're in like a modern city. So where are we? Why are we seeing the same Cheryl TV broadcast that Harry saw back in SH1? How is Alessa's nightmare even touching this place? And what does it have to do with Heather? Returning to our desperate search for any exits, we solve a puzzle where Heather has to mix chemicals in a hallway filled with moths, smoking them out. Moths. Interesting. By the way, seeing this scene, Heather making a poisonous concoction of doom, signaled to my young adolescent mind back in 2005 to never do this. I actually know someone who almost did such a thing while cleaning his toilet, and after I stopped him, I remembered proudly declaring that Silent Hill taught me to never mix chemicals like this. And they say video games just waste your time. Speaking of toilets, if we try reaching into this one...
Oh. Get it. This is way too gross. Who would even think of doing something so disgusting?
Sorry, Sunderland. I knew there was something wrong with that guy. After using a vice to bust some nuts, we find a moonstone. Bringing this moonstone to a certain door, we're met with a peculiar riddle. Piling up the 300th day and night, from beyond the door, cries of pain are heard, and the final destination has become real, though not a blessed beginning. Piling up 300 days is roughly an homage to the time spent carrying a child. 300 days is slightly longer than a full pregnancy, but the meaning is obvious. Cries of pain are heard represents childbirth, but the final lines, though not a blessed beginning, are a little more ominous. Since this door is found close to the Cheryl TV, and this is clearly Alessa's otherworld, this riddle is another homage to her horrible life before it all came to an end, forced to carry out the birthing of a demonic being, living in pain and agony on repeat. The question remains, however, why is Heather being sucked into all of this? And how is this nightmare reaching outside of Silent Hill? After stepping through this door, an impossible ladder greets us. Descending it, we discover a similar looking pit to the one Harry fought that twisted caterpillar in. This is the Split Worm. And yes, it's also very similar to the monster Harry fought back in Midwich Elementary. The Split Worm emerges out of a tunnel. I can't help but think the painful birthing riddle we just read, and the method of how this monster travels around have to be connected. A sickening double meaning may also be interpreted seeing this phallic entity slither its way in and out of these tunnels, these holes, adding to that theme of bodily invasion. Although the magnitude of this monster outclasses any SH creature we fought up to this point, the worm goes down pretty easily. With the death of this Goliath, the mall returns to its former state. A lot like whenever Harry killed one of Alessa's dominant nightmares, by the way. With the building back to normal, we can explore previously corrupted hallways, now completely mundane. We get to check out Happy Burger, the spot Heather was napping in earlier, and no one's around. One of the best feelings SH3 always gave me was presenting such familiar, everyday environments that you get to explore all by yourself after hours. It awakens such a childlike curiosity that we've all undoubtedly had at some point. We've all wondered what it would be like to sneak into a mall while it's closed, or exploring subway tracks and tunnels when no one's looking. As you'll see, we get even more of this kind of exploration in a variety of nostalgic locations. Having grown up in New York City, I'd engage in a little urban exploration from time to time, checking out abandoned buildings and finding that a lot of the time the loneliness these places offered my adventurous mind would result in a kind of comfort. I get this same oddly specific feeling when SH3 has you explore these lonely but liminal areas. The mundane halls of this sprawling place just look so cool and serene, emptied out like this. By the way, Happy Burger is also totally Japanese. The cramped and classic wood grain decor brings to mind your typical Japanese diner. Heading out, we run into the detective again.
Heather!
It's you.
Douglas confirms that he's also seeing what Heather's experiencing. Our lead quickly accuses the man of being in cahoots with Claudia.
You're in on this with that Claudia, aren't you?
Claudia? What about her? She asked me to find you, that's all.
So you are one of them.
Claudia did all that? I was
Heather, understandably untrusting and frustrated, lays down the law to this crestfallen lawman.
in that monster. What the hell was that?
I don't know any more than you do. All I know is that things are getting really screwy around here, and I got a weird feeling it's got something to do with me. Maybe you're just an innocent bystander, but I can't feel sorry for you because you dragged me into this.
Douglas asks what's so special about our peeved protagonist here, and she kind of reveals some interesting insight.
If I knew that, I wouldn't be so confused, would I? But I know there's something. Something I've been running from and forgot for a long time. How did I remember that?
This thought seemingly popping into her head as if the current situations swiped a few layers of thick dust off of Heather's memory.
I'm taking the subway home.
What should I do?
Hell if I know.
Work today is broken. We're all working in too many disconnected apps, and it's killing team productivity.
Heather might be the best character in any horror game, I'm just gonna say it. As our pleasant shopping venture ends, we find ourselves at the Hazel Street subway station. If the locational nostalgia was hitting in the mall, the train station sends me into orbit every time. Exploring the concourse and multiple platforms, we see just how normal these upper layers of the station feel. Going deeper reveals darker sites, potentially committed by the otherworld. A condemned platform with rusted grating shielding the tracks. Deadly weapons appear before us, gift-wrapped as slumbering titans from hell awaken, preventing us from moving forward. It's strange as we're not fully in the otherworld, but being underground like this feels like we're as close to hell as we'll get. These pockets of otherworld almost feel more threatening than just fully being there. Alessa's nightmare keeping Heather on her toes, constantly breaking through the surface. If you don't know, I was born and raised in Brooklyn, New York. As a kid playing SH3 back in the day, I always thought this area was literally Brooklyn. The goal to getting back home sees Heather unlocking the platform to Bergen Street. If you're unfamiliar, this is a stop on the F and G line in Brooklyn. The neighborhood I grew up in was actually on the F line, and I'd ride past Bergen almost every morning going to school and coming back home from work. It also blew my mind seeing the train that Heather takes literally being the F train, going to Bergen Street. It was such a surreal experience for a kid to have back in 2005 with a game. Like, the idea of these very cool Japanese devs potentially visiting my hometown and mapping out the area for what would be one of my favorite games was mind-blowing. A few years after I played SH3, I'd watch the horror classic Jacob's Ladder, which, yes, has a full subway scene on Bergen Street. Team Silent already loving and being inspired by this film just straight up referenced it this time. While this is very cool, it doesn't immediately confirm the opening city levels of SH3 as New York City. But hold on tight. I have some NYC evidence that I'll present to the courts in a little bit. The train station doesn't have a whole lot of narrative development besides showing off more of the city getting possessed. But there is a very creepy side story that you can engage with here. In the main concourse area, we can find a discarded newspaper dated 4 months ago. The faded article describes a death taking place on one of the station's platforms. A man waiting on the platform mysteriously falls onto the tracks as the train approaches. Eyewitnesses claim the victim was completely normal, not drunk or acting suspicious in any way, yet seemingly threw himself to his death. Going deeper into the station, Heather finds a magazine on the occult that she read a long time ago. The article opened to us describes how those who have died by accident or suicide oftentimes aren't aware of their own passing. Sometimes these souls stay behind, haunting the places they met their end. These spirits left behind growing grudges for those still alive. The article cautions anyone to stay away from these spots on the day or times these deaths occurred. After reading this, if you head down to the platform, A literal ghost pushes Heather onto the tracks. A terrifying train horn sounds off, but no train is seen or heard as you recollect yourself. No one else is on the platform either. Moments like this are almost scarier than the actual monsters out to kill us, for me at least. Whatever unpredictable spirit did this may just be that poor soul who fell off into the tracks, still holding on to that grudge against whoever pushed him, or perhaps whatever pushed Heather was whatever pushed that guy. It's impossible to say, but this completely optional side event is nothing short of chilling, and only increased my fear of being alone in a train station. As Heather explores another set of tracks, another train horn can once again be heard blasting off in the distance, but this time it's real. Surviving one hell of a monster-filled joyride, Heather finds herself at an unmarked station. If the mall was the belly of the beast, this arresting system of underground tunnels is like being in its impacted colon, as the train station we thought we stopped at quickly becomes a sewer system garbage dump. Getting lost down here is easier than stomping out your 35th Francis Bacon painting made manifest. It's pretty terrifying going from such normal locales to one most people will never normally see in their lives. Not much happens in the way of story down here, but one thing Heather makes note of is an ominous wheelchair amongst a pile of garbage. She seems pretty annoyed seeing it splayed out like this. Making our way out of this train station turned dung pile, we make it back up to the streets, but not to safety. An under construction office building looms overhead. It's our only way back to the main avenue where Heather lives. Entering the building, we explore its decrepit floors. Smashing open an interestingly painted over wall hides a corpse within, a clear nod to Edgar Allan Poe's Black Cat. We also find a sturdy weapon suppressor amongst the rubble. This makes for quite the surprising way to play, turning off the flashlight and taking out monsters unsuspected. Using an old mattress to cushion her fall, Heather hops down the building's fractured top floor. Using the scaffolding, we enter the adjacent office. This towering symbol of commerce is still very much intact and occupied, though there aren't many survivors, just more monsters. I'm sure this is a common thing in big cities, but once again, growing up in NYC, I'd visit office buildings just like this one, housing multiple wildly varying businesses. An auto repair shop, ballet studio, and art gallery with an interesting red square out front of its doors are some of the places Heather rummages through. The goal here being get down to the ground floor. Finding a collection of items, we jury-rig open an elevator's shaft. More than any other SH3 environment, the office building gives off that nostalgic curiosity of after-hours exploration. We are definitely not supposed to be here, and the monsters feel like this place's otherworldly security system. Reaching a previously inaccessible floor, we're transported to the other world again. However, this time something rather interesting happens.
It's being invaded by the other world, by a world of someone's nightmarish delusions come to life.
That sounded an awful lot like the one and only Harry Mason, a man whose exploits in the other world have very curiously mirrored Heather's very own. Now, why would Heather of all people be randomly hearing Harry's voice while crossing over? What's the connection here? One of the first sights we see in this hellish space is a mummified doll sitting in a wheelchair. Right next to it is a hanging, adult-shaped body holding the hand of another wrapped-up baby doll. The wheelchair-bound toy, a clear representation of the original Alessa's mummified state before and during the events of SH1. The parental figure and child having a double meaning for Harry and Dahlia, I'd say. The dangling nature of the handhold being a distant yet personal representation of Harry's search for Cheryl, and Dahlia's lack of love for Alessa, of course. If it wasn't obvious up to this point, things are becoming more apparent. In a doctor's office, we find an ominous handwritten message. Find the Holy One, kill her? Flipping over the message reveals that it's a photograph. A photo of Heather. Stepping through the office door, we meet another survivor.
Heather. That's what you're called now, isn't it?
And who are you?
The name's Vincent. Don't forget it, okay? I'm on your side.
So you say. But how do I know you're not with her?
Her? You mean Claudia? Please don't lump me together with her. She was totally brainwashed by that crazy old hag. I guess crazy old hag is a bit harsh. She is your mother, after all.
My mother? What do you mean?
You don't remember? Ah, so Harry didn't tell you anything. That figures. He's a pretty sneaky guy.
Don't talk about my dad like that!
So yeah, the girl we've been playing as is actually the reincarnated baby of Alessa/Cheryl from the ending of Silent Hill 1. We are playing as Heather Mason. But props to Konami's marketing team for putting Heather's actress's name on the back of the box. Vincent claims to be looking out for Heather, but his utter disdain for Harry and basically everyone else says otherwise. I love seeing Heather get defensive over the Harry slander. This guy accidentally saved the world just trying to save his own daughter. He could barely open a bag of jelly beans, but threw all insecurity to the wind and killed an incarnation of Satan. Harry Mason is the greatest American hero. There will be no slander of Mr. Mason in this household. There's so much to unpack with this revelation. Obviously, the Alessa nightmare has been projecting out of Heather this whole time. The pregnancy door and split worm from the mall are indications of Alessa's hellish pregnancy carrying the false demonic god. Claudia, an apparent citizen of Silent Hill, had to be radicalized by the cult as a child. It makes sense that she's carrying out Dahlia's legacy with a similar set of the old witch's ideals. Her words, "Remember your true self and what you must become," are references to Heather's past, but what you must become is interesting to me. Part of the reason why Alessa's nightmare was psychically projecting outward was a result of her own powers, but also her terrible childhood memories, getting burned, and the demon fetus growing inside of her. That demon being wiped out effectively ended the nightmare, but here it is back in action using Heather as its catalyst. Does that mean a second demon is growing inside of our girl here? Claudia's words would suggest so. You'd hope that Heather would be a sort of purified version of a reincarnated Alessa. Maybe in Alessa's dying moments, she never considered that someone would try reviving the horrible cult that took her life and hometown. But here we are, tragically repeating history. Claudia wants Heather to birth a new god. Getting back to Vincent, he says he knows everything about our current situation, clearly being some kind of high-ranking member of the cult with how casually he's just sitting here in the other world. Heather, angry, demands he tell her how to stop all of this, but he just jokes the notion away.
Why not enjoy yourself a bit longer?
Cuando se trata de financiar un auto, solo hay una respuesta que todos esperan. La de los ejecutivos de BAF.
¿Así que puedo tener un financiamiento a mi medida?
Enjoy? I feel like I'm going crazy.
Heather decides to take off, seeing right through this guy's act.
Wait! I'm not finished talking!
I knew you were on her side.
How do you figure?
There's something wrong with you too.
To be honest with you, Heather Mason is a pretty great role model. Even though she constantly finds herself in stranger danger situations, she's smart enough to tell these creeps off and leave. She's incredibly headstrong and was very inspiring to me when I was a kid. Leaving Freakazoid and getting back to exploring, we find the front door blocked by a massive creature. Its wriggling form twisted and disturbing. It's imposing, but it's also not attacking. In front of the beast lies another open book, another fairy tale. The story describes an old village terrorized by a massive monster living at its front gate. No matter how hard the village tries repelling the beast, it kills whatever comes at it. With no other options, the king of the town hears out a young priestess who wants to try her hand at confronting the creature. The rest of the pages are missing. Compared to its description in the story, its physical form looks old and tired. It's as if the spirit of this fictionalized behemoth has been plucked straight out of the pages it was born from. Taking a look around, shades of Alessa fade into focus. Another lonely wheelchair sits behind thick glass in a hospital hallway. Heather mentions the completely different world on the other side of the glass, calling out to her. We've already seen a few wheelchairs in passing, and those covered bodies in the mall are literally copies of Alessa's burned, bedridden presence from her stay in Alchemilla Hospital. These sightings are one thing that indicate the manifesting power of the nightmare, but now the memory of the hospital itself is forcing its way into this completely different environment. The lines between reality and memory are severely blurring. The nightmare's power grows by the minute, arguably more intense than any other world we've seen prior. This type of shifting world symbolism reminds me of how the other worlds worked for Mr. Sunderland. SH3 accomplishes the difficult task of marrying the cult-fueled bystander version of SH1's Otherworld with the more personalized version we got from SH2. SH3's Otherworld tormenting Heather and you, the player, with these familiar nightmarish memories coming back to life makes this game the most personal Silent Hill title yet. In a very meta way, we have the most in common with Heather, having experienced all of what Alessa went through in the first game. Here we are again having to walk familiar paths, dealing with a dark past akin to SH2, and a cult of crazies trying to summon a demon like SH1. Speaking of reliving nightmares, in the gallery, a sickeningly relevant painting is now on display. A young black-haired woman surrounded by a group of religiously garbed people. The caption reads, "Flame purifies all." Heather mentioned seeing this painting before realizing that no, she remembers this moment. Burning a piece of spoiled meat in front of the painting reveals a secret door. The way to paradise opened after purging a holy body. Behind this door, we find more of the fairy tale we read before. These pages describe the town priestess attempting to talk to the monster at the gate. Despite her best attempts, the monster wouldn't listen and instead struck down the girl, killing her in the process. Hell of a kid's story, by the way. Soon, we come to find the final pages in a horrifyingly distorted, blood-soaked classroom. As the king and townsfolk cried out over the death of their beloved priestess, God took notice of their pain and resurrected the girl. This story's starting to sound like I've heard it before. Confident, the mystical girl approaches the monster once more, this time chanting the words,
Tu fui ego eris. Weird writing. What was that?
With that, the monster perishes. Heading out to the building's main hall, the real-life creature blocking the front door is also gone. Tu fui ego eris is Latin and translates to, I was you, you will be me. This story is obviously an echo of Alessa's life, but presented in such a whimsically tragic way. To me, it feels like a propagandized version of Alessa's life and death that the cult potentially used to teach young, impressionable members in training. The very childlike nature of the writing being a main indicator of this. The glutton monster is also the first boss-tier creature that we don't physically fight, which is really cool. As a series, Silent Hill is as much a mystery puzzle game as it is an action-adventure title. It honestly feels way more appropriate to defeat a boss by completing a level-like puzzle. I wish there was more of this in these games. As we leave the office building behind, Heather slips back into reality. Every time I play SH3 and get to this moment, I always feel a great sense of relief. Walking these dark streets in whatever this city might be always brings me back to countless late-night hangs with my friend group, walking back home after getting off the train at 3 a.m., stumbling back into my mom's house. Even though it's only been a few hours of gameplay, we've seen so much of this city. We've learned so much about Heather. It's been an overwhelming yet revelatory night. On my first playthrough, walking up to that front door, I was excited to see Harry Mason once again. What could this old hero have to say to his daughter getting home so late?
Perfume Hugo Boss a 149 soles. El regalo ideal de papá está en Falabella.
I was gonna put this guy to sleep, but then I got high.
Dad, I'm home. Listen, something really crazy's going on. I think we should... Dad?
Ah.
If you watched my recent revisit to Resident Evil Village, you'll know that my father passed away pretty recently. That game and this one are forever changed for me, both being horror stories about girls losing their dads. Heather's reaction to finding her father like this is scarily realistic. I can't put into words how raw and relatable this scene is for me now. I won't go into detail, but when I got the news that my dad had passed, it was sudden. I was in shock. I was emotionally deflated for about a year afterwards, and I was scared. Tons of memories, both good and bad, flooded back into my mind. The sheer preciousness and fragility of life was amplified. Nothing will ever prepare you for losing a parent, and Heather's actress, Heather Morris, captures that painfully specific moment perfectly. Heather is 17 in this story, making Harry 17 years older than he was during his descent into hell. It's heartbreaking thinking about a much older version of the guy who courageously risked everything to save his adopted daughter, just getting struck down like this. It looks like he didn't see whatever killed him coming. It's a kill and a moment that just happens. There was no fanfare for this iconic character. We just find him like this. That's what always made this scene feel so horrible. When you go through something similar to this in your own life, the scene goes from sad to nightmarish. A trail of blood leads to the apartment's roof where we find Claudia.
Did you do this?
You're late.
But why? Why?
Revenge for 17 years ago, for one thing. If not for him, our dream would have come true. And then he took you away from us. There is another reason. To fill your heart with hatred. It must be this way. One day you'll understand why.
No, I'll never understand!
This vengeful witch is deep in Dahlia's Kool-Aid. As Claudia leaves, she tells Heather that she'll see her again where it all started, the town of Silent Hill. The monster responsible for taking Harry appears. This is the Missionary. A very cool fight ensues where you can accurately parry and riposte each of its attacks, or go solid snake on it, using the silencer on this shaded rooftop. Killing the Missionary like this had to be intentional, given Harry's sneaky death at the hands of this thing. Stomping the thing out for good, Heather returns to the apartment to find Douglas. Quite possibly the last person Heather wants to see right about now. She rightfully flips out on him. The old detective helps the girl cover up Harry.
What else can I do? There's no one here to give him a decent burial. I'm sorry, Dad.
What do you do now?
I'm going to Silent Hill.
What's in Silent Hill?
I don't know.
Do you think it's safe?
Of course it isn't. I don't know what kind of hell is waiting for me there, but I've got no other choice. But she won't get away with what she did. When I find her, I'll kill her myself.
Revenge doesn't solve anything. I'll give you a ride.
I don't need your help.
Yeah, but it's too far to walk. Besides, I'm partly responsible for this.
Heather vows to take down Claudia. Guilty, Douglas offers to go with her, feeling partly responsible. Taking one last look around the apartment, Heather contemplates if Harry would approve of her revenge mission. Examining the chair we found Harry in, Heather thinks of herself. Dad, why'd you have to die? You told me you were the strongest man in the world. Liar. This might sound harsh, but I can assure you, when something like this happens, a lot of thoughts come rushing in. Survivor's guilt is a real thing, especially right when a death happens. All kinds of resentment may flow through your brain. You wonder why they had to leave you all alone. I couldn't imagine dealing with these types of feelings right before heading to Silent Hill of all places. When we meet Heather, outside of her nightmare, she seems genuinely happy. She's excited to hear her dad's voice after dreaming about the otherworld, a place he saved her from. She doesn't even realize that Harry's always protected her from Silent Hill. When looking around their humble little apartment, you get to see how normal they really were. These weren't rich, entitled people. By the looks of things, they were just getting by. Heather's partially unlocked Alessa memory has been safeguarded these past 17 years. She still holds on to her childhood possessions, showing us just how innocent she actually is. You can tell Harry gave her a good life up to this point. Now, all of that's been ripped away. The one thing he successfully protected her from finally got the drop on him. Now, the town's calling her back. The last thing Harry Mason ever wanted for his daughter. But there's nothing she can do but face it head on. And it's sad seeing this kid having to go to Silent Hill on a revenge mission of all things. With all of that said, we say goodbye to this horror icon for one last time and head out. Meeting up with Douglas, he lets us know that Vincent just passed him by. The shady doctor, businessman, what is that vest supposed to indicate to me, huh? He tells Douglas to look for a guy named Leonard when getting to town. Of course, as Claudia takes off, Vincent just so happens to be right behind her. Heather, seeing no other options, chooses to trust the weirdo's direction. Douglas hands Heather Harry's journal as they begin their long drive to Silent Hill. In a lot of ways, this feels like SH3's true beginning. It's interesting. For Harry and James, we never really got to see the inciting incident that brought those guys to the town. In 3, we get to play through that reasoning, and it's pretty cool. From here on, Heather changes. Her newly gained focus of getting revenge on Claudia hangs over our girl's head like the darkest cloud. Earlier, I mentioned this unknown city feeling like New York. While I desperately looked for an answer as to where we are at the start of this game, I sadly couldn't find anything concrete. Then, I decided to look up how far a drive from Brooklyn to Maine would take, since Silent Hill is confirmed to be in the state of Maine. A drive from BK would be about 7 to 8 hours, which is a fairly stress-free road trip. I can easily see Heather and Douglas making that drive before the sun comes up. Listen, just let me have this one, okay? On the drive, Douglas opens up, letting us know he's only been to SH once. It was a missing persons case that he didn't end up closing. Well, I guess he accomplished his goal this time. Heather lets Douglas know her history with the town as the Alessa memories creep back in. Heather fully remembers her past, going over everything. Her as Alessa having powers, Dahlia sacrificing her, the successful summoning of Samael, and of course, Harry saving the day. Heather also reveals that she is in fact a reincarnated version of Alessa, and Douglas is left speechless. Again, what SH1 did with the theme of fatherhood at all costs is especially strong and ever-present in SH3. Taking care of a discarded child is something that requires a lot of strength, and a guy like Harry being as headstrong as he was is inspiring. He doesn't get as much love as other horror heroes, but I'll always love Harry Mason.
Me just like I was his very own daughter. Even though he didn't know who or what I was. It was so sudden. I never had a chance to tell you how happy you made me.
Arriving at the town, Douglas and Heather stop in at a familiar motel. Douglas heads off to check out Leonard's home, while Heather treks over to the hospital. Before they head out, Douglas admits to being scared in some of the most human dialogue I've ever heard.
You're right. I am afraid. 50-something years old. I never seen nothing like this. I still feel like I'm dreaming.
More like a nightmare, I'd say.
Yeah. I want to wake up and have a smoke already.
It's at this point where it may hit you, this game follows a young Mason and her cop friend battling against an evil witch with a sidekick, shady guy who knows way more than he's letting on. The parallels to Harry's romp through this town don't end with his death. Before we head out, we can read Harry's journal. This wasn't just a personal log of his life, but a collection of info specifically meant for Heather to find as she got older. Again, the entire first game gets explained, but some insight to the aftermath of SH1 is fleshed out as well. Harry talks about his years growing with Heather and the inner conflict felt after experiencing Silent Hill. Guilt set in not being able to save Alessa or his own baby girl, Cheryl. Nights went by where he'd think to himself, maybe Heather might just grow into Alessa again, repeating the cycle. He'd even think about strangling Heather or abandoning her. This guilt-ridden guy, once again putting those insecurities in the trash, decided to man up and to take care of this kid in the best ways he could. The final page being a plea to Heather, letting her know he always loved her no matter what. I think I'm gonna start weeping, dude. I love Silent Hill. Getting this extended therapy session out of the way, we finally plunge headfirst into the heart of the beast. This version of the town is the same map from SH2. Outside of the motel and hospital, Heaven's Night is explorable, revisiting this nightclub stuck in time. A flyer lies on the stage. It's a depiction of a woman with long black hair, the return of Lady Maria. Okay, when Mary got sick, James definitely came to this town at some point, went to this strip club and saw Lady Maria performing. He undeniably substituted his own wife for this woman, given the name similarity, and conjured up his own Maria on his quest through hell. You can't convince me otherwise. SH3 is so good, it's even adding points to SH2. Again, I love Silent Hill. Since Team Silent only had 9 months to make this version of the game, we don't visit the hospital from SH1, Al Camilla. Instead, we get to explore the one from 2, Brookhaven. It's a tiny bit disappointing not having Heather all grown up go down memory lane, exploring the hospital where her life would change forever. That being said, shades of that past do present themselves in this particular hospital. The other world is known to shift things around to accommodate your personal horrors, after all. Like the previous games, we face off against nurses, but unlike James's manifestations, these ones are a reminder of the woman that took care of Alessa, Lisa Garland. I will say, Masahiro Ito seems to have predicted the Sphere Hunter with this design. What's going on here? Why am I playing a game where I beat myself up over and over again? Fun fact, this model right here was the first PS2 character Ito made, then finally got to use in this game for the Fukuro nurse/lady. It turns out I'm the Fukuro nurse. Imagining this darker memory of Lisa still trapped in the fragments of Alessa's nightmare is utterly terrifying. It's also understandable that she'd potentially want revenge and attack anything on sight. I mean, the last thing we saw her do was murder Kaufman, so...
Nuevo Alto Mayo Arbónico, el café que nos acerca.
No saber en qué se fue el dinero es un dolor de cabeza. Con Cafeaspirina Forte, el precio no es un dolor de cabeza.
Exploring the hospital's new rooms, we're met with a journal and a doll. This book is from a man named Stanley Coleman. Stanley knows who Heather is, but we don't know who he is. The writing in this first journal is worrying. Stan mentions being a patient in this hospital, locked up tight in a cell, but always thinking about Heather. Stan's writing gets unhinged quickly, saying that he's been waiting for our girl and that her sudden appearance in town is her coming to save him. The old doll being a gift to mark the two's everlasting love. As we explore the rest of this place, the diary reappears multiple times, flipped open to new pages with puzzle hints and guidance on what to do next, and of course even more unnerving fantasizing about our girl here. The doll is always present, and Stanley even gets upset that Heather hasn't taken it with her. One of the most annoying messages he leaves is at a locked door, suggesting Heather being irritated that he can't be there to help her open it. But even if she's mad at him, he still wants her. The insanity continues as we do. Obviously, stalking is a very common fear that a lot of women, myself included, have experienced. And this game's done a good job at portraying that with the other characters, but Stanley's different. It's difficult talking about this, but as a public figure myself, I couldn't begin to explain to you how prevalent this type of stalking can be when you put yourself out there on the internet. I received many messages throughout my years online that are painfully similar to Stanley's. Replaying SH3 for this video had my jaw on the floor, having forgotten how real a lot of his ramblings are. The quick escalation and consistent messages that very often explode into self-hatred, violent thoughts, and anger is something I've experienced online many, many times before. Stanley is a classic example of a stalker going way too far. His last message, a lament about Leonard stopping him from meeting Heather, and how delusionally crestfallen he's become over this. He's even smashed his little doll to pieces, which was a present he made for Heather. I fully believe that if we ever physically saw Stanley in the game, and Heather turned down his advances, he would have gotten violent right away. On that note, never catching a glimpse of this guy is what really freaks me out. This is what makes Stanley's stalking so scary. The fact that someone you don't know might claim ownership over some part of you or your life, while never actually seeing them in real life, is some of the realest, most accurate female-themed horror SH3 perfectly executes on. Getting back to our search for Leonard, we actually get a call from him. Leonard thinks he's talking to Claudia, scolding her belligerently, even trashing Claudia's dream of resurrecting Alessa.
Thank you, Cedric. Be right back. Okay. Then
As godchild. Heather finally gets a word in as the unruly man reveals that Claudia is her daughter. Heather lets the old bastard know that his child killed her father. Leonard asks if she wants to kill Claudia, and our girl's a bit conflicted, but Leonard sees this as an opportunity to free himself. Claudia locked him up in the lower levels of the hospital. With this new goal in mind, we head down and find ourselves in a maze of rusted tunnels. At the end of this puzzle, we find the seal of Metatron from SH1 painted on a wall. Unlike the save glyphs, staring at this one plays back a faded memory of Lisa. It's the videotape from the first game, the moment where Lisa broke down trying to take care of the destroyed girl. Heather comments on remembering the lost nurse and how nice she was to her in her final moments. After this, the wall disappears, opening up a new path. Climbing a ladder, we get to see Lisa's smile etched onto the wall, as well as this freaky little imp cranking away at a valve. We also see Susie Hunter constrained behind glass, a terrible representation of what the video you're currently watching has done to me. Climbing into the Otherworld hospital, everything here is burnt and boiling. The corruption of the hospital, I feel, is Alessa completely manifested in the environment itself. Mostly everything has a distinct heat blur, making it hard for you to find your way around. Another revealing hospital event is the infamous mirror room. This horrible moment sees Heather locked in a small room, her reflection steadily consumed by a dark rot. Eventually, she stops moving in the mirror, but the rot spreads into the room she's physically standing in. The door will eventually unlock, but if you stay inside, you're consumed and die. I like to think of this moment as a symbolic replay of the complete Alessa at the end of SH1 being consumed by the flames and darkness that would take her soul. Leaving the room feels like the baby Heather leaving the dark otherworld behind, something Alessa could sadly never do.
Wolbert. Shit. Right.
Happy birthday to you. Happy
Nope.
birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear. Oh, I forgot your name.
Who are you?
Oh, okay, thanks. Happy birthday, dear. Who are you?
The happy birthday caller is actually an ongoing mystery, but I think we all know who it is. The caller mentioning Stanley being underground as number 7 is a puzzle clue for the basement's furnace, a collection of covered bodies all adorned with numbers. If you stand next to 7, you can actually hear Stanley choking under the sheet. It's pretty horrifying knowing the guy that left all those deranged messages is right here, dying, I guess. Who did this to Stanley? Richard Braintree, I don't know. In one of the hospital's rooms, an old tome next to an altar describes a blood ritual. Performing said ritual grants access to a secret part of the hospital's basement. Here, we finally come face to face with Leonard. The old man, shrouded in shadow, rambles about taking out Claudia before making his own claims about reaching paradise. Heather is very tired of these people.
Leonard? Is that you?
Death to all who turn their backs on God.
Is every person here a mental case?
Yes.
Oh my god, that's Leonard? No wonder why Claudia wasn't going to the park as a kid. Her dad's a literal monster. If this was my dad, I'd be fucking pissed. I'm not bringing anyone over to the house. Since when can Silent Hill transform you into a creature? It's like a Resident Evil boss. By the way, nowhere in this game does it say how Leonard got like this. Knowing Silent Hill, this could be a manifestation of his dark inner self coming out, or it could just be him. By the way, if you hold down the shoot button with the shotgun, as soon as the fight starts, you can kill Leonard in seconds. Was it really worth it, dude? Transforming yourself into a giant target like this? I love the dichotomy of fatherhood in SH3. Leonard becomes a literal monster instead of taking care of his kids. Meanwhile, Harry went all the way to hell just to save his. This game's story could have been avoided if old Leo here just bought Claudia some snackies. I hear Happy Burger is a happy place. Can you imagine this guy holding a telephone and talking into it? Like, what is this? Returning to the normal world, we get Leonard's seal. It may come in handy. Leaving the hospital, we hear an argument between Claudia and Vincent. The witch isn't too happy about Vinny sicking Heather on her dad. Vincent confronts Claudia about her past, and it turns out her dad wasn't the nicest person either, physically abusing the poor witch while Vincent and presumably other members of the cult just sat back and watched her tragedies play out. A life similar to that of Alessa's. Maybe Claudia's powers weren't as potent. Claudia, being neck deep in the sauce, reiterates God saving all before leaving the conversation. Getting back to the motel, Vincent relays a message from Douglas. Crossing the lake gets us to a secret church where Claudia's holed up. With that, we take off to Silent Hill's famous park. Arriving at the lakeside amusement park, Heather gets another worrying bellyache. The potential god inside of her might be growing as we get closer to this hidden church. We've been here before. It's the place from the dream. Instead of getting rocketed off the roller coaster tracks, we actually find a key to the ride's control room and shut it down. Walking out on the tracks again, the ride still ends up barreling towards Heather, but this time she's ready. Elsewhere in the park, we see Claudia and Douglas. The old DT angrily confronts the witch, calling her out for lying to him about Harry stealing Heather away from her. Claudia goes on with her typical cult ramblings, and Doug responds with a fire comeback.
No sickness, no old age. There will be no greed or war, and all will live by God's grace alone.
No this, no that, no nothing. Paradise for castrated sheep, maybe.
Douglas takes aim. Claudia asks if he's going to kill her, in which he responds,
I've done it before.
We fade back into consciousness, knowing that Douglas is actually a really good guy. Considering what happened to Harry, he's gonna need our help though. We awaken outside the park's funhouse, the Borley Haunted Mansion. In a rare moment of parody, perhaps, we get to explore this very Resident Evil feeling facade. I say Resident Evil because the little storyline of this attraction features a lot of conventional horror with corny narration that almost feels at home in an intro cutscene you'd see in Resident Evil. We've even got fake trap ceilings and jump scares, but none of it hits. Maybe Team Silent's trying to say something here. In any event, a red presence starts chasing Heather, burning her life away. Of course, this being a Silent Hill game, even the goofs have to follow up with genuine scares. Eventually we find Douglas, and he's hurt. Heather drops a great line here.
Move my right leg. It's broken.
I'll call an ambulance.
How, Heather? How? Douglas finally opens up about his past, and things start to make a lot of sense.
You think you're Superman or something?
You know, I always wanted to be him. Besides,
Yeah.
I want to help you out.
You don't have to feel responsible. I know it's not your fault.
remind me of my son.
Siempre hay una razón para llenar tu carrito. Azúcar rubia Totus a 20 soles 50. Lo puedo, Totus.
Traslada tu cuenta sueldo a Banco Falabella y te pagamos más por tus ahorros con una tasa de 6.5%.
You said nobody was going to cry for you.
Dead people don't cry. Stupid kid got himself shot robbing a bank.
But why?
Pension book.
Maybe because his pop was a penniless good-for-nothing.
Douglas taking on this gig makes way more sense when you find out he's lost a son. He couldn't save his own kid, so saving someone else's is his atonement, a spiritual salve to mend a broken heart. It's sad that he inadvertently started a demon apocalypse finding Heather, though. This revelation makes Claudia even more of a piece of shit. I wouldn't doubt she knew about Douglas's past, lying to him about a kidnapping, strengthening that conviction to track down Heather. What seemed like stranger danger at the start is now recontextualized as a grieving father just trying to look out for a potentially imprisoned child. Doug's journal is found not far away from him. Inside, the pages contain more info about Harry and Heather's escape from Silent Hill. The two Masons used to live in Portland, Maine, until a member of the cult broke into their home. Harry shot the man in self-defense. This made the Masons have to move around quite a bit to escape these fanatics. The fact that people were still pledged to the cult and brave enough to go looking for the guy who killed their god says a lot about the overall delusion going on in this town. Speaking of Harry, as we make our way through the park, we stumble across something fans of SH1 will recognize right away. We actually find one of Harry's save game notepads. This memo sheds some light on Harry's state of mind in the final hours of the first game. He talks about Alessa, the version of the girl he followed to this very amusement park. Harry, being a good father, feels bad for the girl, but questions whether or not he feels this way because she looks so much like his daughter. Not wanting to believe what Dahlia said about her being demonic, he vowed to save her as well. When Heather realizes this is Harry's writing, I believe this is when the gravity of what her dad did for her really starts to set in. Arriving at the carousel, we're surrounded with real horses impaled on giant hooks. A message nailed to one of the horses instructs Heather to kill the pained beasts. So we do that, and it's genuinely disturbing. Just slowly chopping away at these poor defenseless horses. After beating multiple dead horses, a dark presence can be seen gathering in the center of the ride. This is Memory of Alessa, a fragment of the real girl who burned to death all those years ago. This apparition attacks Heather relentlessly. Her goal, if I had to take a guess, would be to kill Heather as to end the second coming of the town's dark god. It's worth noting that this carousel is the same one Harry saved Sybil on. One battle fought selflessly to protect someone else, and another battle fought to protect the self. In the center of the ride, a flaming body is seen. A very obvious nod to Alessa, and almost feels like that body is projecting this stronger version of herself outward to deal with Heather. If you look at the walls outside of the ride, you'll notice that the entire set piece is physically spiraling downward. Perhaps with Heather's psyche battling itself, this could represent her mind spiraling out of control. As the battle comes to a close, and we forget this bad memory for good, red writing is scrawled on the floor. It's a self-defeating message from Alessa. It basically confirms her disdain for the god growing inside of Heather, and proposes a gentler end to the beast's growth. She mentions how killing Heather is like granting death to herself, and how she isn't afraid of it anymore. Heather smartly sees the value in her life and respectfully disagrees, showing us and proving to herself that she's done with feeling like a victim. She's her own girl now, and isn't afraid of this whack-ass cult. Stepping through the chapel's impossible front door, we step into the rotted mind of the beast. Claudia awaits us.
Checkmate.
Claudia, going off as usual, mentions the world Alessa wanted finally coming to fruition. Then Heather straight up starts trolling this dumb witch.
Oh, Alessa, the world you wanted is nearly here.
That's not what I want.
Not you. Alessa. Your true self.
But I am Alessa. My little Claudia, my dear sweet sister.
Alessa? Is it you? Oh, how I've missed you.
I don't need another world. It's fine the way it is.
Heather tries getting through to Claudia with this act, but surprisingly doesn't work. Heather gets another bellyache as the witch acknowledges her new god's growth. Claudia bugs out, leaving us to explore a bit. Checking out the chapel, Heather lets us know that she used to come to this place all the time as a kid. Paintings adorn the walls, chronicling the cult's birth, collapse, and uncertain future. That future happening right now. A lot of what happens in this finale is lore heavy. To wrap up pretty much every dangling story thread, this version of Nowhere combines memories from each cult-invested character, which, by the way, this final area is in fact a return to Nowhere from SH1, that hard-to-navigate smashed-together physical realm of Alessa's fractured psyche. Heather actually makes her own map of this place, saving us all the mental anguish of having to commit impossible geography to memory. I can see Cheryl's artistic skills floating to the surface with this map. Leaving the chapel, one of the first interesting oddities we encounter might blow your mind. An unassuming church confessional waits in a quiet hallway. Entering it, we hear the despairing voice of a woman, a mother heartbroken over the loss of her daughter.
Dear God, please forgive me. I know I'll be put to death for the sins I've committed. And I'll go to my death gladly, and with a peaceful heart. Let me see my child once within your golden gates. Deliver me not to hell, but to purgatory. Allow me to atone for my sins there. I'll stand within the very flames of redemption, no matter how they burn me. Forgive me for my wicked act of revenge.
It's unclear who this person is, but the dialogue, particularly standing in the flames of redemption, makes me think of Dahlia Gillespie. The poetic nature of Dahlia's soul being trapped in Alessa's nightmare all these years later, seeking forgiveness from her own daughter, reincarnated as another, is just fantastic. The lines about revenge have me questioning if it is her, but I personally like to believe that it is. Whatever the case may be, you get to decide this woman's fate. This choice is more a reflection on Heather's view of the cult. By forgiving the woman, Heather is condoning the group's actions. Perhaps the revenge lines from the potential Dahlia here are there to make you think twice about the vengeful thoughts Heather's having right now. Is her going after Claudia with such animosity really going to make her feel better at the end of all of this? Will killing that witch bring Harry back? Will seeking forgiveness bring your daughter you sacrificed to Satan back? Would she ever forgive you? Well, leaving the woman alone, we move on to the rest of Nowhere. Fuck you, Dahlia. Finding our way around this disjointed mess of memories, we find someone's private study. On a desk, a collection of papers lay, a familiar symbol drawn on them. The save glyph we've been seeing all around is the cult's religious symbol, the halo of the sun. The memo describes its construction in great detail, the outer rings being charity and resurrection. The inner circles are past, present, and future. Outside, a painting covers a hidden passage. A pair of bloody footprints, accompanied with a girl's crying, leads us through. Another set of footprints leads us to Alessa's hospital room. Next to Alessa's bed, a heavy book lies opened to a chapter on something called the Aglaophatus, that red goop that once dispelled Samael's spiritual grip on Alessa. The first page mentions the goop coming in liquid or crystallized form. Taking another look at Heather's locket, that red jewel, that gift from her father, happens to be the ultimate key, the Aglaophatus. In a circular room, we find the halo once again. A massive painting of Alessa carrying herself can be seen. From the very start, this symbol of reincarnation has guided Heather to this very moment, her journey acting as its own metaphorical reincarnation. Browsing more lore in the library, Vincent shows up uninvited, dropping one of the worst jokes known to man.
You come here and enjoy spilling their blood. and listening to them cry out. You feel excited when you step on them and snuff out their lives.
Are you talking about the monsters?
Monsters? They look like monsters to you?
Oh no.
Don't worry. It's just a joke.
In Claudia's room, we get to read her diary, and in it she prattles on about cult stuff as per usual, but you also get the sense that there was a deeper connection with her and Alessa at some point. She talks about wanting to see her again after all this time, fearing that the cult's ritual might be too cruel on her, and doubting whether or not she's fit for reviving her god. On her desk we find an old birthday card, Happy 6th birthday to little Claudia. I love you as if you were my real sister. No name is attached, but I think we all know who this is from. The fact that Claudia's still holding on to it speaks volumes. Damn. In the beginning, the story posits Claudia as another insane Dahlia type, but it turns out she might be as much of a victim to this cult's nonsense as anyone else. A horrible, abusive father who forced her to partake in the cult's fanaticism, getting physically abused while Alessa likely watched from the sidelines. Claudia may have only had Alessa to fall back on during their childhood. Harry stealing the only semblance of Claudia's innocence explains why the witch has been so possessive over Heather this entire time. In Claudia's warped mind, she believes she's doing the right thing. Saving her only childhood friend means following their religion through to the end. Nowhere's puzzle box requires you to find 5 items to place into an old, familiar door. That door belonging to Alessa's childhood bedroom. It's always really cool getting to see classic SH1 rooms fully realized in SH3, but what stands out the most is Harry's second memo. At the end of SH1, we learn that he wasn't the most confident in his abilities, but he was ready to throw down anything, psyching himself up for one last battle against a so-called god. He wasn't scared, and neither are we as we take our final steps towards the end. Walking in on one hell of an argument, things go south of heaven fast.
You think that this is the work of God? Isn't this all nothing more than your own personal nightmare? Just like Alessa 17 years ago? If this really is the work of God, then I'd say she has lousy taste.
Go home, Vincent.
Home? This church is my home. I built it with my power. The power of money that you view with such scorn. Although I admit that this atrocious scenery is all yours. Well, the guest of honor has arrived. Go ahead and kill this crazy bitch.
You'll go to hell!
Claudia, in a moment of clarity, almost apologizes to Heather, calling her Alessa, of course. She regrets trying to hasten this new god's birth, acknowledging the hubris in it. Seeing the rage she's instilled in Heather, realizing what she's done, her mission is now one she doesn't expect to come back from. She wants to be the martyr to save mankind. In his dying breath, Vincent urges Heather to use the seal of Metatron she got from Leonard.
Use the seal! Now your stupid dream is over!
Oh, that's just a piece of junk.
Vincent's long-term grand plan of subverting Claudia's will using a crap artifact her father believed in is a complete and total failure.
You're pathetic.
The villains in SH3 are just nasty freaks. One thing I love about this game's story is that it embraces the fact that sometimes villains can just be scum. Heather, getting one more stomachache, recovers.
Alessa?
Shut your stinking mouth, bitch!
All throughout the game, Claudia encourages Heather to remember one thing.
Remember me, and your true self as well. Also, that which you must become.
At this point in the story, like Harry 17 years ago, Heather abandons all insecurity and takes the witch's advice. Heather, like her father, becomes the hero that the world needs.
Dad.
After a barf scene that can only be rivaled by Eddie's gut dumping, Claudia, driven by self-sacrifice, scoops up and scarfs down the demon fetus. The mad cleric is ripped down into a hole. A very interesting looking hole, by the way. We can't risk this monster growing, so we do the only thing we can and take a leap of faith.
Oof.
This is it. Claudia's body destroyed, the demon using the vanquished witch's essence to grow, is already quite large. Its body looks like a malnourished chicken, but its head and face are legible, and to no one's surprise, already beginning to look like Alessa. This boss fight is pretty epic in its spectacle, but not the most fun to actually play. For starters, you can't parry her, which sucks because you can parry mostly everything else. On the harder difficulties, she can throw out multiple attacks at once, fire and melee, which can be annoying with this movement system. Those melee attacks have no telegraphing at all, which makes it impossible to know when they're coming out. But the silver lining is, you could just stand right next to her and she mostly won't do anything. Bust out that katana and go heavy attack mad on this chicken bitch until it's game over. After all's said and done, another god's been laid to rest, and Harry is still gone.
Heather, is it really over?
Not yet.
13.
You're still alive.
Just a joke.
I've said it before, and I'll keep saying it. Heather Mason is one of the all-time greats.
Sorry.
Heather, did
You
you...
don't have to call me that. I'm not hiding anymore.
You want me to use your real name? What was it again?
Cheryl. The name my father gave me.
You gonna let your hair color go back too?
I don't know. Don't you think blondes have more fun?
The final shot of this game is Heather somberly visiting her father's grave. I love the idea of Douglas actually helping her bury her dad. The phenomenal track Hometown, performed by Yamaoka and Romersa, includes SH1's iconic mandolin intro, sort of capping off the Mason v Silent Hill storyline perfectly. I know the SH1 theme is the theme song of that game, but I like to think of it as Harry's personal theme. What starts uncertain and honestly creepy becomes this cool and confident surf guitar melody. Underneath it all, we get piano cues that usher in more mystery. Then the creepy mandolin comes back to keep us on our toes, just like the town of Silent Hill. With Hometown, we basically get a definitive Harry Mason theme song with appropriate lyrics to boot. These lyrics describe a man drawn to the town, losing a girl that he cares about, refusing to give in to the town's tricks, but also a lyric that goes, "This movie doesn't end the way we want all the time," which to me feels like a nod to Harry's tragic death, blending both stories as we've seen all throughout this game. The calming, spoken word outro describes a man passing away, a storyteller who told the tale of Silent Hill. Now, with this person's absence in this other town, there won't be any more stories to tell. It's a bittersweet banger of a track that helps tie up an equally bittersweet story. It also feels like Team Silent declaring that they're done with this chapter of Silent Hill. SH3 is one of my favorite games, period. It's impressive how much ground is covered and how many of its story themes are swiftly and tastefully accomplished. The artistic and abstract depictions of the title's female-themed fear is expertly communicated. This era of Team Silent was really clued into this stuff and seemed to always approach their subject matter with care and thoughtfulness. Heather doesn't have to be dragged over the coals or utterly humiliated to show you what horrors and tragedies befall her. Themes like walking home alone, being stalked by multiple people, and unwanted or forced pregnancy are all terrible things. They're also all things women deal with and have to worry about on a daily basis. Silent Hill 3 rises above so many other pieces of horror media by not gratuitously showing you such things to disgust or shock you. The symbolism and environmental storytelling paint a clear enough image that gets you to think about this stuff deeply. It trusts you to understand this stuff. The coat hanger puzzle and Heather eating a magical red stone that is definitely an analog for a certain type of pill were not lost on me and many other people. No lines are ever crossed, but the horror of these moments are still extremely powerful, just like all of the real-world relatable subject matter from SH1 and 2. That's one of the Silent Hill series' strongest qualities. Keiichiro Toyama, Takayoshi Sato, Hiroyuki Owaku, and of course, translator Jeremy Blaustein always deliver on horror narrative masterworks, and SH3 is no different. I really love the type of story SH3 sets out to tell. It's a commonality in sequels having a beloved main character die, but what I actually love about Harry's death is the idea of a purely good man who is heroic in nature getting caught off guard like this. The world he knew has grown dark beyond his kind. A hero can't exist in a world like Silent Hills. It's a thought that Heather and the player undoubtedly have heading back into town, but through her struggles, facing her old self, rediscovering the tragedies of the cult, watching a friend get hurt and seeing the embodiments of greed and corruption eat themselves alive, she learns that even an evil as old as Silent Hills can be beaten. It's a much-needed hopeful outlook coming off the misery parade of SH2. Like I said before, it's stories like SH3's that can tell us it's okay for villains to be villains, and for heroes to just be heroic. It's okay for us to feel inspired, and like we just overcame something impossible with our survival horror games. We don't always have to be in water when we're at our lowest, when we fail to protect our loved ones. Using the power of light, the goodness in our hearts, we can expel the darkness that holds us down. We can break free and decide how we want to live, even if the darkness comes from inside. Silent Hill is no stranger to New Game Plus shenanigans, but simply traversing basic areas on NG Plus offers bizarre new experiences. In the underground, a lot of the hallways become fleshy nightmare tubes. This feels like some kind of hellish birth canal Heather's trapped in. It could symbolize the rebirth of the cult and Alessa's memories coming back to her in this burned to a crisp way, as this part does take place right before our Silent Hill homecoming. Or, you know, it could just be a creepy visual to keep us on our toes. Speaking of keeping things bizarre, for whatever reason, on NG Plus, some of the monsters will just start speaking Japanese at Heather.
Han pasado 20 años desde que Claro llegó al Perú.
¿20 años?
Por eso hoy nos toca celebrar el pasado, pero mirando con compromiso hacia el futuro.
No va. Voy en camino.
Preparando la cena. Comprar comida para Rocky.
In the sewer, you can drop your pipe into the water where we meet another new character.
What was it that you dropped? Was it this precious gold pipe? Well, was it this magnificent silver pipe? Perhaps it was only this filthy steel pipe that you dropped. I have finally found a truly honest man.
Misgendering Heather? No wonder your nasty ass lives in the sewer, bitch. It's worth noting that this line changes in the HD collection. One thing that feels very Resident Evil about this Silent Hill is the amount of unlocks you'll be earning. Super weapons like the Infinite Flamethrower and SMG help blast through subsequent playthroughs, but the amount of wearable costumes is staggering. There are 12 normal street outfits, and on the PS2, an additional 14 based around popular gaming outlets of the time. Rest in peace, basically all of these brands. I'll be honest, seeing Heather rock a bunch of shirts that are all review websites feels like the most blatant, please give our game a 10 out of 10 energy I think I've ever seen for a piece of media. I have to hand it to Konami for the least amount of fucks given for this game. Heather's most notable outfit is her magical girl, Princess Heart transformation, equipped specially with a full-on Sailor Moon tier cutscene. Short skirt, massive shoulder pads, and stunning dealy boppers will have even the worst nightmare monster quaking in its fleshy boots. One unlockable weapon perfect for this outfit is the literal lightsaber that Heather almost mistakes for a doorknob. I love how strained SH3 just has to be all the time, especially with its unlockables. Like with the katana, this green space blade will have Princess Heart going combo mad. The most breathtaking unlockable in this game happens to be one of the coolest unlocks in any game. That, my friends, is the phenomenal, the sexy Heather Beam. This magical beam has so many different functions, from arcing mind lasers, ricocheting 20-sided die, and eye lasers that would make Kal-El shudder. It makes for a very cool unlockable, but it's also a little suspicious how fleshed out this beam really is. Remember at the start when I mentioned that a discarded version of this game was a rail shooter? Well, this entire Princess Heart mechanic might just be a remnant of that game. See, there's a subgenre of rail shooter in the bullet hell category specifically called cute-em-ups. These are games that oftentimes star cute magical girls shooting laser beams out of themselves. I can easily see this rail shooting SH3 being a very normal Resident Evil Survivor-esque thing. And then after finishing the game, you unlock an extra mode where you Heather Beam hordes of monsters to death. It's all speculation, but it's a little too in-depth for a simple unlockable. The two previous games have unlockable weapons that are crazy, and Harry does get a laser blaster specifically, but neither James or Harry are transforming and striking cool poses while destroying things with their Superman eye lasers. Another potential piece of evidence for the rail shooter concept is the unavoidable fact that Silent Hill the arcade game features all, and I mean all, of SH3's environments for its levels. Whatever the case may be, something very fishy is going on with SH3, but it's like the best kind of fishy. The Heather Beam also contributes to a very cool unlockable ending as well. By killing 30 enemies and getting back home, we're granted with the legendary SH3 UFO ending.
I'm home, Dad. Listen, something crazy is going on.
Shut up! Dad! What happened?
Well, it's like this. And that's about it.
Oh, my poor little Cheryl. I can't believe that. I'm going to Silent Hill, and I'm gonna bust some heads.
Oh, Dad, you're the coolest!
Sa 良い子のみんな集まれー。良い子のみんなそろそろ UFO エンディングとか飽きちゃってんじゃないのかい？
¿Qué demonios?
よーし、行くよ。1, 2, 1, 2, go, Nana. Shake it, yo man, yo, shake it, shake it, yo.
I love the idea of James and Harry practicing karate in preparation to barbecue Silent Hill, wiping it off the map completely, as they should. This UFO song is so insanely good. It's the most involved out of all of them. That is definitely a Kiriyama Oka pitched up, by the way.
だけどね、怒ると怖い。 Dad, 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 だけどね、
自分のこのやりたいものをその収められないっていうのがまずあって。
So that brings us to the most important part of this documentary. How can you play Silent Hill 3 right now? Well, outside of owning the game on PS2, your options are fairly limited and barely good. Like SH2, 3 was included in the not-so-great HD collection on PS3 and Xbox 360. Out of the two titles, SH3 suffered the most. Even to this day, both versions still have their issues. On PS3, the crashes were plentiful. Just to test it out, I actually re-platinumed the game, meaning I did everything that you have to do in SH3. And on my playthroughs using the Infinite SMG, my game crashed about 5 separate times. So I wouldn't recommend this version. There is a very old PC port that you can get working with fan mods that supposedly fix the game, but for whatever reason, I couldn't get the thing running on my machine. My absolute favorite way to play, and probably the method I'd recommend alongside the original PS2 version, is emulating said PS2 version on PCSX2. There's an amazing community patch that makes the game run at 60 FPS, and it looks stunning. Cranking up the title's internal resolution with this patch running, and you've basically got your own HD remaster that actually works perfectly. It's incredible playing the game like this in 4:3 aspect ratio. SH3, like its previous iteration, did not sell too well at release. It's an unfortunate reality that back when these games came out, they just didn't hit quite like the first title did. That being said, SH3's impact on the culture of the horror genre was and still is felt to this day. So many iconic designs and concepts like the Halo of the Sun and Robbie the Rabbit have persisted even with the game's middling sales and almost indifferent public reception. SH3 was always my absolute favorite, and I remember a time, a very, very short amount of time, where Robbie was more well known than Pyramid Head. And then the first film came out, and that poor little guy had to move in with me. However you can, please play SH3 for yourself. Find your own fear.
Aprovecha. Frazada Kaya con Sherpa Mika 2 plazas a 79 soles 90.
Cocinar para toda la familia se siente así. La verdad, prefiero pedir. Pedidos ya.
Fun and meaning in its awesome, charming, and heartbreaking story. Covering Silent Hill has been nothing but a joy for me. I do think this is the best Silent Hill game overall. It's got a great balance of fun gameplay, the combat feels really good, the puzzles aren't too overbearing unless you want them to be, and the story is fantastic. It's both personal and conclusive. This game has always held a special place in my heart, and only seems to get more relevant for me as time goes on. It's funny, growing up playing this game, I always strongly identified with Heather's struggle, growing up poor, in a big city, wanting to live my life truthfully, but always having someone tell me how I'm supposed to live my life. But just like Heather, I'd always tell those people, so what? And also like Heather, I lost my dad, and while that continues to be a difficult road to recovery, I am getting through it. I mean, look at me, I'm doing fine. Just had to talk to some friends, do some introspection, kill a god. I'm doing just fine. Above all else, SH3 has made me realize that I am Heather Mason. No, not you, me. I'm Heather Mason. Listen, I'll be honest with you. While it feels great having finally talked about the original Silent Hill trilogy, I gotta take a break from this horrible town. Blood, guts, rust, missing wives, broken families. I need something pleasant in my life, okay? Don't ask for SH4. I'll do it when I feel like being sad again, okay?
Hey, missed me?
Wait, when did you get back here?
New suit looks pretty spiffy, huh?
Oh, a new suit, huh? Well, looks rather soft. I guess, you wouldn't mind if I threw you against the wall, you little bastard. I'm done with Silent Hill. Little imp stealing all my snackies. Not anymore. Silent was creative.
I love you.
Hola, buenos días.
Tómale la foto.
I got a $20 tip. I think they're pouring grout. Yep. They're gonna pour grout. Aww. Is that because she's cold? Is that like a blanket for them? I think they're all cold. Ooh. They brought tamales, and I love tamales. Good morning, guys. I'm on my first job, and they brought tamales. I'm gonna try some right now. I got 2 of them. I got 2 different flavors. I love the green ones, green with cheese. So I got a green one, and then I think this one, I don't know what it is, but I'm gonna try them. And they're also not ready yet, but it's okay because they gave me food, so I'm gonna eat the food. We're at a little ranch, and there's horses, and it's nice. It's so cute. Guys, those were really, really good. I love tamales so much. I just don't like when they have a lot of masa in them, like all of that. I don't know what you call it in English, but it's called masa, and I don't like when it has a lot of masa. I like my tamales very thin. I don't like them thick. These were a little on the thicker side, but they were still very good. The flavor was there. It was so yummy. Right now I'm gonna shoot pour that little part. I already put my suit on. And then the pumper is behind me, and he's putting the hoses all the way to the back because as I showed you guys, they're gonna do the grout. But yeah, when I passed by, I didn't see the pumper. I had to call in and say like, I don't see nobody, but it's because they have the gate closed. And then someone came out and they were like, oh, come in through this way. And then after, they still closed the gate on me. As you guys seen, I got loaded for my second job, which is out here in Glendale. I'm already here, and it's the hills of Glendale. My brother was actually the first one, and this job is a total of 17 yards, so I loaded 8.5, he loaded 8.5, because there's some pretty steep hills. Right now I'm gonna have to reverse up a street. My brother said he's gonna spot me because there's a lot of cars that I might hit. I don't think I'll hit a car, but we'll check that out together. I also got a $20 tip in my first job, and then also yesterday I got a $20 tip, so that's awesome. And also I'm really sorry I haven't chatted with you guys. Yesterday and today has just been one of those days where I don't want to talk. I don't know if it's the weather that's making me feel this way, but I just feel like I don't want to talk. Not only to the camera, but to anyone like at the jobs. I'm not really being a social butterfly like I usually am. I'm just very like in my own bubble. I think it's because of the weather, honestly. I don't like this weather. As you guys seen, it's so bipolar. It'll rain in some spots and then other cities it won't. In Norco, the sun was starting to come out and it was looking beautiful. And getting closer to Glendale, it started sprinkling. Same with yesterday, it was sprinkling off and on all day. It was just nasty weather and I didn't like it. I honestly didn't want to be at work yesterday. I was not having a good day yesterday, but today I am feeling better and I finally feel like I could pick up the camera and talk to you guys. I think also it might be just because last week was so crazy. There was so much going on. I was not stressed, but I had a lot in my head from my car situation, which I read all of you guys' comments on the whole car situation, and it just made me more, I don't know the word, I don't want to say upset, but it was kind of making me more like, you know, it's okay, I'm already over it. My car is okay. And then as well as my phone, I'm actually filming right now on my new phone. This whole video will be filmed on my new phone, so I don't know if the quality is going to change. So far right now, it looks like the quality is way better, but I don't know, you guys will be the judge of that. I'm just waiting for my brother to be done because he says 2 trucks can be up there at the same time because there's not enough space. So I'm waiting down here on kind of the main street. It's not really a main street, but it's a bigger street where more cars do fit. Waiting for him. He said he's almost done. So we'll see what this job looks like. I'm excited to show you guys. right? Check your air tanks, they're good. My brake is on. And look at this view.
I'm sticking with you.
Oh my gosh, guys, the most funniest thing just happened to me. Literally 2 minutes away, or not even 2 minutes away, like a minute away, coming up here, there was another house that they were pumping at, and the pump was already ready and everything, and I pulled up, and I was like, is it here? And I asked him, I was like, oh, like 5.5 yards? I said through the window, because I was like, I don't think it's here. Like, my address says, like, go up more. And they just threw a thumbs up at me. They backed me up into the pump, and then I made sure to ask the pumper first. I was like, are you sure it's here? Like, I brought 5.5 yards. He's like, oh, no, here we need 2 yards. But he was like, let me confirm. And I was like, okay, maybe, like, I brought the wrong yards or something. And then, no, he calls whoever was in charge, and they're like, oh, no, that's not for us. So I kept going up to the hill to the correct address. I had the correct address, but I had just passed the pump, and I was like, maybe it's here. Good thing I made sure with the pumper. If not, imagine I would have unloaded those 5.5 yards, and then, oh, that would have been bad. And what's even funnier is that I knew the pumper. Isn't that crazy? It was an old pumper that I hadn't seen in a long time, so I was like, okay, maybe, like, this is the job, you know? Let's go see what they're pouring. just finished my job. Going down the hill now, I'm gonna show you guys where that other pump was at. I'm curious to see what mixture's there. Robertson's. They ordered Robertson's. That was a funny experience because it was literally 2 minutes away from my job. And the pumper, I told the pumper the story, and he told me he thought about telling me, oh, it's not that first pump, but he said I would be smarter than that. But I wasn't, because I stopped and I backed up into the pump. So that was really funny, guys. There's something else I want to show you guys. I'm on my way back to the plant, but I'm on the 91 freeway and I have to get on the 71. But from this freeway to get onto that freeway, there's a really tight turn, like a really super tight curve. That's super dangerous. Apparently so dangerous that they're building a huge bridge to cross from this freeway, the 91, to the 71. And I'm gonna show you guys.
Later that day.
Just look at their water placement. Expertly done. This is the epitome of sport. They are splitting savants and jetpack geniuses. The movement is so fluid, so fast.
Hey, you guys. Guys, I'm in the Target parking lot right now, and I thought I would bring you guys along with me because I'm going to be cooking today, and you guys seem to like the cooking segment. I'm going to make something super basic, but it's one of my favorite meals, and this is one of my mom's recipes, and it's just a red spaghetti with ground beef, but it's so good. It's one of my favorite meals, if not my favorite meal. So I'm going to bring you guys along with me inside Target. I'm going to grab some other stuff that I need for the house, and I'll make sure to show you guys exactly what you need for the spaghetti in case you guys do want to make it yourselves, because I love spaghetti and no one makes spaghetti like my mom does. No one. Only my mom makes it this good, so I'm gonna make it today because I've been craving it. But okay, let's make this a quick trip.
Después del sanguchón, usa Dento Triple Acción. Su fórmula de calidad está aprobada por laboratorios internacionales.
How's everyone feeling? How's everyone doing this week? I feel great this week. If you saw my last week's video, you'll know that I felt super tired last week and had no energy, but I got a lot of rest this weekend. I slept on Mother's Day. I took a 4-hour nap on Mother's Day and I feel so much better. I feel super energized. Yesterday was super productive. I was able to wash my car, cook, get my eyebrows done, go to Target, get groceries. I did so much yesterday and it made me feel good. Also got really good rest. I slept early, so that was great. I hope everyone else is feeling great too. I'm gonna be making my way to my first job, which is in San Gabriel. I'm loaded with 10 yards and we're gonna see what today looks like. I got off early yesterday because I guess it's slow right now, so we'll see how today goes, if we have a long day ahead of us or a short day. But I'm gonna bring you guys along with me today, so let's go to our first job. Okay, I just arrived and I'm gonna go show you guys what they're gonna be pouring. This looks like they're gonna be pouring a lot. Probably, I don't even know. I don't know, what do you guys think? All of that, all of the front, as you guys seen. All of this is the whole driveway. Okay guys, I'm done with my load. That second truck is already here. Apparently they only ordered 2 trucks, so 20 yards. Do you guys think that would be enough? I honestly don't know. I'm pretty sure. I'll show you guys where they're at right now with just my truck. But I just pulled forward so that that second truck could get unloaded already. And I'm gonna wash out in a wheelbarrow. Okay guys, I just finished rinsing my shoe. They said they're not gonna need any more. It's just gonna be my truck and that other truck that's here already unloading. So I'm gonna go ahead and charge them, and I'm as well gonna show you guys a glimpse of how it's going back there before I leave. Okay guys, I'm back at the plant. I already got info for my second job, which is only going to be 4 yards to the highest house in Pasadena, which is crazy. It's literally the last house on the street on the highest level. But before I load up, because I already have to load up, I'm getting a little bit hungry, so I'm gonna get a snack. The first snack I'm gonna get is a banana. I'm excited for these guys. I had a taste of the barbecue popcorn I got at Target yesterday, and they're so yummy. But I'm gonna save that for later. I'm gonna just have a banana for now before I load up, but I do already have to load up. And luckily it's only 4 yards. I love driving with 4 or less yards because I don't have to drop my axle down, and it just makes it a smoother ride. But let's go get loaded. Look at this gorgeous property. There's water on this property, a little river running down, and someone owns this, all of this.
No te lo pierdas. 40% de descuento en miles de sábanas, cubrecamas, edredones y frazadas. Solo en Falabella y falabella.com.
Chamba bravaza, con beneficios buenazos. Sí existe y está en TP. Postula en tpjobsperu.com.
Okay, that was a fun delivery. I was not expecting to have such a fun job like that today, but I'm so glad I was vlogging today. But not only was that area so cool, I also got to meet Tim, and Tim is the contractor for that job. But not only that, he's also a resident in that area. He was sharing with me that a lot of wildlife passes through that area, that there's actually a designated trail for even bears to go by. He was also telling me that that last house on that block is the owner of all that other land. That apparently, I think in 1999, he said there was a big fire and it took 3 homes. Those homes didn't get rebuilt, so the land actually went up for sale, and now that last house that's at the end of the block bought all that property and they're planning to build another home. So I think that's so cool. I was not aware about a fire in 1999 in that area, but it took 3 homes, so that's crazy. Recently with these fires, they said it got really close, but they contained it, so that's awesome. I also talked to the pumper, and the pumper was saying that he's gone up there 10 times or more to pump concrete. That's a lot of times. Imagine 10 times up and down that super narrow. If you guys see, it was so narrow. But yeah, that was a really fun job. I'm so happy I got sent up there. I'm back at the plant. I'm gonna wash out what's in my drum because the pumper did wash out, so let's go do that. So I know you guys seen my new lunchbox and want to know everything about it. And don't worry, I'm going to tell you guys all about it. This is my new lunchbox from Lunchies, and it's a cordless lunchbox with a programmable lunchtime. So yeah, 2 hours ago I put that I wanted to eat at 1. It's 1 now and my food is ready. You guys don't know how much this makes my life so much easier. With my job, I'm so on the go that sometimes I don't have a microwave to heat up my food. So this is perfect for me because I'm able to heat up my food without a microwave. You're also able to adjust the heat level, and I love my spaghetti hot, so I made sure to put it on the highest level of heat. So let's put it to the test and see how hot my spaghetti actually is. I have the secret ingredient for my spaghetti. I cannot eat spaghetti without this. It's Cholula sauce. I'm so excited, guys. Guys, that was so hot, my eyes are getting watery. It's perfect, just the way I like it. Guys, 10 out of 10. Lexi approved. So good. That's probably one of the best meals I've had on the clock. So good. And I think just the fact that it was so hot made it so much better. That was perfect, guys. And luckily for you guys, if you guys are interested in getting your own lunchbox from Lunchies, I have a code available for you guys. It's just Lexi's Lunch, and you'll be able to save on some bucks and get free shipping. But yeah, guys, lunchtime is over. I'm just gonna drive back to the plant, wash out whatever's in my drum, and call it a day. But thank you guys so much for watching. If you guys made it this far, make sure to comment your favorite part of this whole video. I really enjoyed filming this video, from the cooking to that fun, exciting job I had up in the hills to my yummy spaghetti that I was able to eat from my new lunchbox. Thank you guys so much for watching again, and I'll see you guys on the next video. Bye!
Okay.
Hey you guys, I'm on my way to my first job, but I'm experiencing a problem. My axle doesn't go down and my chute doesn't move up or down, which is crucial for loading up and for arriving to the job, and especially if I'm loaded up with 5 or more yards. And today I noticed the issue when I was about to load, because when you're about to load, you need to drop your axle. My axle wasn't dropping, which on Saturday the same thing happened. I tried to load, but my axle wouldn't go down. So I tried to do it manually and it worked. I got loaded, but then I got to the job and my chute wasn't going up. It wasn't going up so that I could go higher than the pump hopper. Solution was cutting the hydraulic oil line, which was a mess because all of the hydraulic oil just spilled. And with that, they were able to raise the chute manually with their hands, strap it up to the height that they needed it so that it would be higher than the pump's hopper. And now I'm experiencing the same thing, and before I got loaded, I was told to change a fuse. I changed it, it worked, my chute worked, my axle dropped down with my buttons that I have in here. But after I got loaded, since I have 3 yards, I tried to raise up my booster and it wouldn't go up, so I had to manually do it outside. But now my chute isn't going up again, so I'm scared that when I come to the job, it's not going to work again. But I was told that when I get there, I have to change another fuse. But I don't know if that's going to work, so I don't know what's going to happen. But we struggled a lot on Saturday, and I didn't film it because I just thought it was too chaotic. They did work on my truck all night last night, so the problem was solved. So I don't know why it's happening again, but I made sure to check it was working before I left the yard in the morning, and it was working, everything was working. My chute was moving, my booster was going up and down, and it wasn't until I got to the plant and I was literally about to load and I was trying to drop my axle down with the buttons I have inside my truck, and it wouldn't go down, so that's when I had to change the fuse. But I'm just a little bit nervous right now that I'm gonna get to the job. I don't know who the pumper is, but last Saturday was a struggle because I put a hold on everyone since we couldn't figure out how to raise the chute. All the finishers were waiting, especially since I was the cleanup. I was the second load. So I don't know. Hopefully it's not a big deal, and hopefully it's a pumper that I know so that they will be okay and understanding. I don't know. Guys, I just arrived to the job, and I think it's with wheelbarrows. I don't think there's a pump. So I think that's good for me. Let's go check if it works. I just washed out all the color I had in my drum. I'm getting sent back to the yard because they need to fix that issue. I don't know if I'm done for the day or if it's a quick fix and then I'm back to working. If it is that I'm done for the day, that was my last job. I only put in 4 hours, which is so little. I also got the day off yesterday because my truck wasn't working. But it's okay. I took advantage yesterday and I finally started getting some of the merch stuff done. I hired 3 different people to design me different graphics. I paid $500 just for the graphics, which is crazy. I have a vision and I want my vision done the way I want it for you guys. So hopefully one of those 3 guys brings my vision alive. I did a lot of research on everything yesterday. It was so much fun, guys. I really love the whole merch process. I did also want to ask you guys if you guys prefer the graphic to be screen printed on these t-shirts, hoodies, or if you guys prefer them to be directly heat transferred on with a transfer sheet. The way that works is basically the image gets printed on a transfer sheet and then you just heat press it on, or the other way would be screen printing. So for that I would have to find a shop, have them make me a screen with my design, and then they're just gonna individually, each color that's on the graphic gets painted on, if that makes sense. I don't know how to explain it, but I've been doing that, just a bunch of research. I just did want to ask you guys if you guys want the image screen printed onto the sweatshirt, t-shirt, or if you guys want it heat transferred on. Let me know what you guys think, and if you guys know anyone that does this kind of work, let me know in the comments down below. I've been looking for a lot of shops and I just want it to be good quality, but from the research I've done, either screen printing or the heat transfer are the 2 best ways to do it. So just let me know what you guys prefer in the comments down below. It's really hot in here, guys. I had to put the windows up because if not it gets really loud, and I also didn't turn on the AC, so I'm a freaking hot pocket in here. What else did I have to ask you guys? Oh, do you guys want me to film the whole merch process? Getting the graphics, choosing the graphic, which design I like, going to the shop, recording the process if they let me, as well as when it comes down to shipping out, because that's my favorite part. If you guys have watched my other videos, you guys know that I used to resell clothes, so when it comes to shipping and all of that, packaging, I love doing that and I'm already familiar with everything. So if you guys want a video on all of that, the whole merch process, let me know in the comments down below. But okay, I'm here at the yard now. I will update you guys if I'm off or if it's a quick fix and I'm back on the road. Okay guys, it did end up being a short day for me. I'm done for the day. Apparently they're gonna have to do a whole line swap, so they have to look for that line and then replace it. So it's not gonna be a quick fix, but it's okay guys. I actually have to turn in my old phone because I finally got all of my pictures and videos transferred to this new phone. So I have to go turn in that old phone so I can get credit for it. And yeah, I'm just gonna take advantage of this early day out, and tomorrow I should have a full day of work. Good morning peeps. I just loaded up 10 yards for a job that I'm going to be taking to Ontario. Just that it's a little too early to make our way over there, so I'm waiting just a little bit, but I'm feeling in a really great mood. I got my radio to work. After maybe a whole year or probably even more, I wasn't able to listen to my radio because there was one day that I think I left the light on overnight that killed my batteries, and for some reason even after they had charged my truck battery, my radio never worked. But the other day I pressed it, I pressed something and it started working. I was so happy. So we're listening to tunes friends. And it just also brings me back so much nostalgia because when I was little, when my grandma or my mom would take me to school, the radio would always be on, and there's a specific station that would always be on, and they just talk, and I just remember their voices and everything they would talk about, and I finally get to hear that again, so I'm so happy. And also today's gonna be very hot, so I'm enjoying right now the cool air, but it's gonna get hot today. Today's gonna be the hottest day of the week. It's gonna be, I think, 94, which is hot over here because it's been weird weather and it's been really gloomy and cold. This is gonna be one of the hottest days that it's been all of spring, I think. So yeah, I brought myself some water to stay hydrated. I switched to a bigger Hydro Flask. I noticed that with my other water bottle that I have, I finish it and then I'm still thirsty after. This one is bigger. It is heavy. It is heavier to hold around, but I'm gonna be drinking the water, so it's okay, and I need to stay hydrated. And yeah, we're gonna see what today brings. I'm excited. I'm gonna be the first one at that Ontario job. I don't know if they need a cleanup or if it's a big job or a small job, just me or multiple other trucks. We're gonna see. So I'll meet you guys in Ontario. Hey guys, so I'm on my way to go pick up a cleanup for that same job. They need 1.5 yards. Just that I ran into another problem with my truck. The roller which spins the drum is smoking.
¿Te quieres cambiar de operador? Cambiarte a Claro es más fácil y rápido de lo que crees. Solo llama al 0800.
Smoking and it's making a really loud noise and it smells really nasty, and it's because it's already worn out, so I need to replace it. So I need to get it replaced, but I have to also bring the cleanup to this job because everyone else is busy. Obviously I called and let them know that this is happening because now I have a risk that the drum could just completely stop spinning and not spin no more, which is obviously bad because if I load up and it stops spinning, it's gonna dry up in there. Since it's 1.5, the drum is gonna be so heavy as if I was loading up 10 yards. So it's okay, we're gonna just do this one load and then I'm gonna be off again early so that they can replace it, which is already Wednesday and I've had such a slow week. But yeah, I'll keep you guys updated. Okay, I just got loaded and the bearing completely stopped spinning. Okay, so it stops and it goes, but you saw that, right? It stops, but that's what it's gonna keep doing until it actually fully locks and just doesn't spin anymore. Because right now, oh, see, it locks and then it goes and then it locks and then until it completely locks up. But this one stays spinning. I don't think it'll be a big issue because as you see, it's still spinning with just this one. But either way, that is not good. If I would have loaded up 10 yards, it would not be spinning right now because of the weight. Just like that, I'm at the yard and I'm done and I'm off early again. It's 11:20, so it's still super early. Hopefully that roller gets fixed today so that I can hopefully have a full day tomorrow. I mean, honestly, I don't mind it if I do work or if I don't work because I know I have a lot of stuff to do. Yesterday, I actually took a me day because when I went to go trade in my iPhone, I ended up staying at the mall and I did a lot of shopping for myself. And that's the thing I don't like, that whenever you're off and not working, you're spending money. I did it willingly since I'm always working, I'm always just saving money. I I thought I would spoil myself. So yeah, that's what happened there. But yeah, today I'm gonna have this video edited or partially edited because I don't think I'm quite done filming. But I'm gonna have what I do have film edited. Bye. My roller was replaced. They left it so dirty, you know.
That's dope.
Use diesel to remove all the grease. Look how good it works. So this is a bunch of grease. It works wonders. And then just a wet rag wipe down and it's all gone.
Traslada tu cuenta sueldo a Banco Falabella y disfruta 50% de descuento sin tope en restaurantes seleccionados.
Starting to get hot out there. I'm washing out all the pump wash, but they used black color in that last job, so I have to make sure that I get it all rinsed for my drum before I load up for my next job. If not, in that new load that I load up right now might pick up some color that was left in there. So I have to make sure to rinse everything out. I'm gonna go in right now with my water hose and rinse out my drum. guys, that concludes a full day of work today. It's still pretty early. It's about to be 3, but I think it's slow this week, which is okay because honestly it's too hot to be working anyways. My truck behaved today, so that's really good. But yeah guys, thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye. Happy Wednesday. Yeah, it's Wednesday already. I woke up this morning and I was like, I don't want to film today, but then I was like, wait, it's Wednesday. I need to film. I had a long weekend, guys. I'm sure everyone else did. It was Memorial Weekend. How did you guys spend your weekend? I really want to know what you guys did, so let me know in the comments below. I made a last minute trip to San Francisco. I alone drove 6 hours to San Francisco and 6 hours back. It was pretty crazy, but it was so much fun. And I ended up going to Lake Tahoe too. So that was then another 3-hour drive from San Francisco, but it was so much fun, guys. I wish I could have stayed there longer, but I cannot believe I drove 6 hours. Like, I have never driven probably over 2 hours in my personal car. Obviously, I'm driving all day in this mixer truck, but it's just not the same, you know? Like, I feel like it's way different, especially when you're going so far. I drove, I think, 400 miles, 500 miles, I'm not even sure. I drove a lot of miles to just get over there. I think I put 1,000 miles on my car this weekend, but it's okay. I'm so happy I did that. I got such a refreshed feeling. Like, I want to switch my life up. Literally, it's so weird, but every trip I ever take, if it's small or a big one, I always feel like, you know, like I want to switch my life up. But anyways, we're back at work. That's why today when I woke up and I was like, I need a film, was because I didn't work on Monday, so my week has felt so short. But it's already Wednesday. But I need to get to filming because, as you guys know, I upload every week, and I'm so proud of that because I've been very consistent, guys. I've been so consistent. I don't know when the last time I didn't post on a Saturday was. Like, it's been a very long time. It's probably been 8 months. I don't know. But I'm so happy because, as you guys see, we're almost at 80,000 subscribers. Isn't that crazy? You guys seen I loaded 9 yards. I'm taking them to Laverne, but I want to show you guys the slump I have because I've gotten comments that you guys want me to kind of show you guys what the slumps look like. So I always make sure to leave the plant at a 5.5 slump, which I think is fair. That's usually what they want it at the job, so I always take it at 5.5. There's sometimes when they want it really dry, and I'll either get told before to take it super dry, or sometimes even on the way there it dries up to a 5, and that's usually the driest they ever want it. Let me go show you guys what 5.5 slump looks like. On the meter, for me, 5.5 slump is 1,000 on the meter, but it's not 1,000 on the meter for everyone. Everyone's meter is different. Back when I started, 5.5 on the meter for me was 1,500. I'll show you guys what I'm talking about right now. Our meter doesn't tell you, oh, 5.5 slump, 5 slump, 4 slump. It doesn't really work that way. It gives you other numbers. So I'm gonna show you the slump meter, and then I'm gonna go up in my drum and show you guys what 5.5 slump looks like. So let's go do that.
¿Me alcanza eso de arriba, señor?
Señor.
Also, this is very important, but to know what your slump is, you have to be accelerating all the way. Like this. Not like this. So you don't accelerate it with the acceleration. Just make sure your drum is spinning all the way, and then it'll read what your slump is. So I'm here at the job now. They wanted a 5.5, so I didn't have to add no water, especially since the drive was only 12 minutes from the plant. There wasn't enough time for it to dry up on the way over here. It didn't dry up. I didn't add no water. They wanted a 5.5. It was perfect. They're doing wheelbarrows, I think. There's no pump. Let's I've been here already and we did all of this. But let's see what they're pouring right now. Oh, okay. I guess that. Last time I came here, we poured all of this. I just asked one of the guys why they ordered more concrete because we finished that day that I came, which is actually the same day that I broke my phone. This is where it happened. I broke my phone here. But yeah, I asked them why they ordered more if we had finished, and they said that they're actually replacing 3 yards because there's a little area where the finishers didn't finish right, so it's holding water, so it's not straight. It has like a little pouch, I guess. So they have to redo it. They had to break that existing concrete, which we delivered recently. But I guess that's why I'm here, because I'm replacing what they had to break. Loaded 10 yards. Let's go to our first shop that's in Long Beach. I made it back to the plant. I have to take a 3-yard cleanup to that same job I was just at. Just that the pumper washed out. He was scared of his pump clogging up, so he washed out. So I have to make sure to get rid of that pump wash, which I'm gonna do right now, and then load up those 3 yards and then take them. Just arrived, but they had me wait a little bit because the trash can is going by and picking up all the trashes, and I think they're gonna go in the alleyway right now. So I'm gonna just wait till I see that trash truck leave, and then I'll back in.
Another one.
Levantarse del sillón para cocinar se siente así. Pedidos ya.
Hola, soy Miguel y uso Bitrix 24 para gestionar proyectos porque me da la posibilidad.
Ready, but we'll see if I take it or if someone else brings it. But as of now, I'm making my way to the plant. I'm 20 minutes away, so we'll see what happens.
Last one. Ouch.
I found my brother. Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel and welcome back to a new video. Today for my first job, I loaded up 9 yards and I'm gonna be taking them to La Habra Heights, to a house on the hills. And I'm not too scared today because I've already delivered concrete to other hills in La Habra Heights. This is gonna be a new hill, a new house that I've never been to, a new route. But I'm not too scared because I was looking at the maps and it doesn't look challenging. It's just a couple hills, but it's for the most part just a straight drive. Not a lot of curves like another house that I was delivering to in La Habra Heights. So I'm not too worried. My brother actually loaded in front of me because he's going first. He was supposed to be there at 6:30, but he's having problems with his truck. His drum is just spinning super fast and it won't slow down. And that's kind of dangerous, especially with 4,500 PSI because that's what we loaded. And that dries up quicker and it'll dry up even quicker if the drum is spinning super fast. So he's a little worried about that, but at least the job isn't too far away. So he's already on his way. I'm stopped right now and I'm gonna wait 5 minutes before I head out just because I don't want to get there at the same time that he's gonna get there. But I'm gonna bring you guys along with me for today's adventure and we'll see what's to come.
To see the fun part.
The new fragrance by Banderas.
Casaca La Martina a 259 soles 90. El regalo ideal de papá está en Falabella.
Nice.
Guys, I'm so sorry. I have not updated the video since the morning. I'm already gonna be taking my second load to a different job. I guess they didn't need me no more at that hill job, so I was done there. I was waiting for a cleanup, but I guess they didn't end up needing me because then I got sent to another plant. So I just loaded up at this other plant, and I'm gonna go to Sierra Madre and take 10 yards there. And yeah, guys, it's really hot today. Today's gonna be 93 degrees.
Yep. Ouch.
Here now, but there's already a truck there, so I have to wait for that truck to unload. I just added some water to refresh the concrete because they did request that at a 5 slump, but I need to keep it cool, so I added some water. I'm gonna get down there right now so I can show you guys what they're pouring, so let's go do that. morning, everyone. How's everyone doing? I'm so happy today because we finally hit 80,000 subscribers, which is so crazy.
Cocinar para toda la familia se siente así. La verdad, prefiero pedir. Pedidos ya.
Si los síntomas de la gripe interrumpen tu noche, cuenta también con Vitapirena Forte.
So thank you guys so much, because obviously it wouldn't be possible without your guys' support, always liking my videos, commenting, sharing. If you guys share, I don't know if people share my videos or not. The goal this year is 100,000 subscribers. I'm kind of thinking that will be when I drop my merch, when I hit 100,000 subscribers. I still don't know. I'm still in the process of making a merch, but if it comes close to being when I reach 100,000 subscribers, I'm gonna drop it at 100,000 subscribers. But obviously I'm not also gonna make you guys wait months if the merch is already done. When the merch is done, I'll drop it, but like I would kind of love it to be when I hit 100,000 subscribers. So just make sure to subscribe, guys. I know there's a lot of you that are watching but aren't subscribed, because I get all the analytics. But thank you guys so much. I'm already loaded with 5 yards and I'm taking them just around the corner, it feels like, because I'm 6 minutes away from the drop from the plant. So yeah, that's probably the closest job I've ever had from the plant. So yeah, come along with me and I'll show you guys what they're gonna be pouring.
Ugh. Mm.
I have to load from the silo. Guess I just drive underneath, or do I need to be on the weight bridge? I don't fucking know. I don't know. Whatever. I'll take this phone with me.
¿Qué haces acá a esta hora?
Se acerca la final. Y la vamos a ganar.
Nintendo Switch 2. Controles Joy-Con 2 que se unen en un instante.
Bueno, ok. Bye bye.